What up, my peeps? This is Tara with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and today I'm bringing you the Ukiyoe Tarot Review. All right, so this is a used deck that I got on eBay, but sometimes I love the feel of a nice, worn deck. I know some people like to be the first to use a deck. They don't like other people to have touched the cards before them. And although I am one of those types of people when I'm in the supermarket, and I'm going to, grab a box of whatever or milk or something like that, I always have to grab one from the back or a few boxes back so that I know nobody else has touched it and I am the first to have touched it and put my stank on it. But I don't know why, but not so much tarot cards. Like, I don't mind the worn look of a loved deck, and so this has definitely it has been loved. So here we have the side of the box, and the box has protected the cards rather well. So the cards are numbered and titled in both English and Japanese, traditional Japanese symbols and full-length figures and colorful Japanese costume. I will say that I have the Google Translate app, and so I have tried to translate all of the Japanese symbols because I know that stuff doesn't always translate well. Sometimes things get lost in translation, like idioms and things like that. So I always like to do my own research and not just go off of what is written as a translation. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this beautiful deck. I love everything, Asian and Japanese, and things like that. I mean, I am part Filipino, but I'm obsessed with like Japanese culture and things like that. So this is the I would say little white, now off-white book that came with it. And this, I actually got a kick out of reading this. And this deck, by the way, I believe it says 1983. Yep, 1983. So this deck is a couple years younger than I am, but it talks about it being kind of conceptualized in 1980. So I actually read through this whole thing because it tells you a lot about Japanese history and the samurai and why they used certain things for the different suits and kind of what all of those mean. And so I loved looking into the background of the art and Japanese history. And I believe most of this takes place in the Edo period. And so, yeah, this was definitely a good read. Like if you're talking about the Empress, if you're looking at the Empress card, it says the Empress is dressed in regal splendor. Her costume, like that of the High Priestess, is copied from a card in the 100 Poets game. The exaggeratedly billowing sleeves denote that she is aristocratic. Not only does the extra fabric entail expense, but it is impossible for her to work in any practical capacity in her kimono. The Empress wears many layers of silk. Her outer garment is trimmed with a decoration of chrysanthemums abstracted into lozenge shapes. The chrysanthemum was the imperial crest of Japan. Her hair is loose and flows mostly down, I can't talk today, down her back. Long, lustrous hair was considered a paragon of beauty in Japanese women. In hours of leisure, the Empress might have composed some of the great poetry written by Japanese women using haiku form, stanzas of 17 syllables, which came into vogue in the mid-1600s. And then it kind of continues on about the Empress. So it's a lot of good stuff in here, not just a little throwaway. So I quite appreciated that. Okay, so here are the cards, and has neat little card backings, and I kind of like that the edges are, chipped and worn. It looks like it did get a little bit of rifle shuffling in its years before it came to me, which was last week. So they have that slight bend in the middle. But I've been slowly trying to straighten the deck back out, but that's fine. You know, I love that this has been loved, and now it is for me to take care of. Okay, so kind of simple backings. Not really a high gloss. Definitely really, really good cardstock. Especially for, you know, how old it is. And I tend to think that the older things are, the better made they were. They weren't made so cheaply. So these cards are beautiful. So let's look at these lovely images. Okay, so up at the top, you'll notice that there is a Japanese symbol, and of course the translation down at the bottom. So let's just have a look. And I actually have a couple of bowls that are like this that I use when I eat some rice. And I love when I get to use my Google Translate app. The only card that I'm like, is the Two of Pentacles here. And they said this original, the ribbon in the original artwork, there was some words here in Japanese, and instead they decided to do the copyright US Game Systems thing, which I think almost looks like it's a card not meant to be in here, like maybe one of those bookmark cards, but no, it's actually the Two of Pentacles. So that one I'm like, psh, but you know, whatevs. It's a beautiful deck overall. And it reminds me of my Nana's house. And my Nana, that's kind of how I refer to my grandmother, my dad's mom. That's how I distinguish between my two grandmas. There was Grandma and then there was Nana. And my Nana had just, you know, tons of Japanese artwork, and she had the little geisha dolls, you know, that are in those little glass boxes kind of all over her home. And so a lot of this deck reminds me of her. And, you know, she did pass away some time ago, back when I was a sophomore in high school in 96. So this is kind of like having her back again, you know, almost. And plus I'm a sucker for Japanese art, so there you go. And you notice here that not only does it have, you know, the symbols of the suit, but it also has its correlation to playing cards. And then you have your little symbol up here and the number. And when it gets to the suits, this is this Japanese character actually means the number, it corresponds to the number. So that would mean, you know, 3. You know, I think that's chi, ichi, ni, san, chi, or san. There we go. That's my kitten huffing in the background. He is killing a bunch of tissue paper that I have. It's so simple, yet not simple. If that makes any sense whatsoever. Wally, what the heck are you doing? That kimono is just freaking awesome. I would wear that kimono like now. This one's kind of like, oh, you know, the star, she is burying her breasts. Like, oh my goodness. Hand over mouth. And here you have, I thought was interesting with the death. You have, you know, what looks like the mourning family, and then you have the family is like, thank God. I'm like, that's so mean. Do not mind the poma. That is my poop. I might might have to bust out some of these images for my students when second semester they're going to be reading Samurai's Tale, and they get, you know, just super immersed into Japanese culture and customs, clothing, the hierarchy, and things like that. And, you know, I mean, I don't go around telling my students, hey, I'm a tarot reader and things like that, just because of the stigma that I don't think their parents would approve. So, but I do love the images, and I would just show it as such, that it is beautiful artwork, because it is. Here you have the Hanged Man. I always think it's interesting to look at the interpretation of the Hangman. And the Hierophant, so wise. She's beautiful. So there you have it. All 78 cards of the Ukiyoe Tarot. Okay, so just giving them a little side shuffle. Look how easily they shuffle. Sometimes I like that decks are older and they've been broken in and they've been loved and well taken care of. And they just shuffle like a dream. All right. Love that sound of the shuffle. So there you go. That is the Ukiyoe Tarot. I hope you enjoyed this deck review and my weird commentary. And if I were John Madden, your commentary would be even more excellent. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to click subscribe. If you would like a reading with me, don't forget to check out that information in the box below. And I'm wishing you guys an awesome sauce day. So peace, love, and chicken grease.